Good morning, boys and girls. I hope everybody had a great weekend. Today is Monday, June 1st, and we are going to be doing 2 weeks of time when we're talking about our math. So we've been doing lots of adding and working with those 2-digit numbers. Now we're going to be working with time. So today we're going to be doing 2 sheets. The one that Mrs. Pelkey is going to do with you is Time Rolls On. It has 6 clocks on it. And we're going to be doing that together after we talk a little bit about time. And then on your own, you're going to be doing a sheet that is called Morning Chores. So we'll talk a little bit about those. But first, we need to talk about time and how time works. So we have lots of things in our lives that tell time for us. In our classrooms, we have a big clock on the wall and it has 12 numbers on it. And those clocks are called analog clocks. Those clocks look like this. These are the clocks that we use that are called analog clocks. And they have 2 things. They have an hour hand, which is red on Mrs. Pelkey's clock, and they have a blue hand that is called the minute hand. Now we have lots of things that tell us digital times, like our cell phones, sometimes our watches, microwaves, sometimes you have them on the cable box. That will tell you the time digitally. Today we're going to be talking about analog clocks for the next 2 weeks. So on a clock, there are 12 numbers. The 12 is at the top, so it starts at 1, goes all the way around to 6, and then back all the way around to 12. So when we're looking at our minute hand, there are 60 minutes in an hour. So when I'm looking at my clock and this says it's 1 o'clock. In first grade, we only talk about o'clock and 30 because we're only telling time to the hour and to the half hour. So this week, the 2 days that we're working on math, it is only going to be time to the hour. So when that minute hand goes all the way around the clock and it's counting off those minutes, this is going to tell us that it's 1:30. And then when it goes all the way around, we have to wait till it hits that 12. That's going to tell us that it's 2 o'clock. Can you say that time with me? 2 o'clock. So Mrs. Pelkey made us a little chart. We have 2 steps when we're telling time. The first one is we need to look at our hour hand. So our hour hand is the shortest hand on the clock. Mrs. Pelkey's nice clock here has them in different colors, but if you're in our classroom, our clock on the wall is going to have 2 black ones. The shortest one is always the hour hand. So that short hand is going to point to the 3. So this is telling me that it's 3. And then I look at my minute hand and it's pointing to the 12. So that hour hand is going to stay between the 3 and the 4 all the way till that minute hand hits the 12. And when it hits the 12, that hour hand will be pointing to the 4. So we want to look at the short hand and we want to look at the last number that it passed. So we want to look at that last number that it passed. So if it's below the 3 but not to the 4, it's 3 o'clock. If it's below the 2 but not quite to the 3, it's 2 o'clock. So I want you to get out your Time Rolls On sheet out, and we're going to do that one together. So Mrs. Pelkey made her own sheet because I thought that would just be easiest. So we are going to be telling time the first time we're going to make that time 4 o'clock. So I want you to write 4 o'clock for me. 4, and then Mrs. Pelkey has 2 dots just like you, and 0, 0. The 0, 0 means it's 4 o'clock. So I'm going to take my red marker and I'm going to draw a shorthand to the 4. A shorthand means that it's not going to get all the way to the floor. That's my hour hand. Then I'm going to draw my minute hand. It's going to go all the way up, and my arrow is going to be touching right below that 12. 4 o'clock. Then I'm going to look at a little bit off here. Then I'm going to put my next one. I'm going to say, let's do 8 o'clock. 8 ... 0 0. 8 o'clock. So what if I'm looking for 8 o'clock? What is my hour hand going to need to point to? My hour hand is going to need to point to that 8. And remember, it's my short one, so it's not quite going to reach that 8. And then o'clock would mean that my minute hand is pointing right straight up to that 12. And it's my long hand, so it's going to go almost all the way to the 12. Good job. You can pause the video if you need a little bit of extra time. Now let's do our next one. Let's do 11 o'clock. So 11, 0 0, 11 o'clock. What does my hour hand need to point to? My short hour hand needs to point to 11. My short hour hand needs to point to 11. What's my minute hand going to point to? My long minute hand is going to point straight up to that 12. Straight up to that 12. Let's do our next time as, let's do 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock. So my short hour hand is going to point to the 2, and my long minute hand is going to point to the 12. Awesome. We have 2 more. Let's do 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock. So my short hour hand is going to point to 7, and my long minute hand is going to point to 12. Great job. And we have one more for, let's do 6 o'clock. So I'm running out of room over here, so I'm going to write my 600 over here, 6 o'clock. Make sure that my 6 goes in the right direction. And what should my hour hand point to if it is 6? Right, I'm going to go 6 with my short hand, and my long minute hand is going to go up to 12. Awesome job. So when you're looking at your next paper, the one that you're going to do on your own, your morning chores, you're going to cut these out and then you're going to glue them on. What I would do is place them all on and have a grown-up check them out to make sure that you have the right answers, and then you can glue them down because they all need to match. So the first one I look at, that hour hand is pointing to 9 and the minute hand is pointing to 12. What does that mean when the hour hand is pointing to 9 and the minute hand is pointing to 12? It is 9 o'clock. So Mrs. Gates will be on Google Meet at 10:30 today, and Mrs. Heckman will be on at 7 o'clock tomorrow. So if you need help with that, you can jump on Google and get a little help, or I'm sure you can give a teacher a call or a message if you're having a hard time. Telling time is not an easy thing for us to do, especially in first grade. It's a lot easier when we're in the classroom than when we're at home, but I bet that you can find lots of clocks at your house. I wonder how many you could find. How about you send your teacher a message on how many clocks you can find in your house? I hope everybody has a great day. I miss you all so much. Love you. Bye.